Hi, it's a Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. I'm doing a full face of Rare Beauty. I know I have been slow to adopt things from Rare Beauty. I know. A lot of it is I've never been a big fan personally of celebrity brands. Doesn't matter whether it's skincare, whether it's makeup, whether it's clothing. And I think when I finally got past the fact that I was buying and paying for someone's name, I realize that sometimes celebrity brands can be really good and sometimes they're just terrible. So I'm always hesitant. I don't want usually jump in with 2 feet. And so I was really slow to even try things from Rare when they first came out several years ago. And I'll tell you, since that point, the few things that I collected here and there have impressed me enough that by the time they launched their viral powder highlights that everyone's in love with, that you can't find anywhere, that are perpetually out of stock, I was like, okay, maybe it's time to try a full face of Rare Beauty. So that's what I decided to do. In mid-December or late December, I went and I was trying to find products and they're sold out everywhere. It's such a popular brand, and I guess because I hadn't really been purchasing that much from them, I hadn't really realized how much people really like this brand. So I have one of all, not everything, but a lot of stuff. And I'm going to start with their Tinted Moisturizer. I have the lightest shade. This is 10N. It's a light neutral shade. I'm going to start by just putting some of this on there. I think another reason, and this is silly, that I was staying away from kind of like the celebrity brands, especially Selena Gomez, because I just saw her as like a little kid. And I know she's not a little kid, she's a grown up. But I remember, thinking of all of those shows that she was popular for when she was younger that I never watched because I was a grown up. I was like, In my mind's eye, I still saw her as that little kid. Was she on a Disney show? Was it Nickelodeon? I don't even know. I don't even care. Like, I was like, nope, not interested. So that was it. And then I started watching Only Murders in the Building and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it and I fell in love with her character. And then I was like, okay, well, she does make some things that I have are pretty good. It was those highlights. When those came out last year at the tail end of the year, I was like, is it all this good? Like, because that's my favorite highlight right now. I can't stop using that. I am so impressed. So if you're curious and you haven't tried this, this is definitely light coverage. I feel like you might be able to get a little bit more coverage if you use something that's not as absorbent as a damp sponge. You might be able to get a little bit more coverage if you tap it in with your fingers. But the idea here is that you are yourself, but slightly perfected. I think it's easy to see that this is just a little too light for me. I feel like I was actually really surprised. I picked this up because the next neutral shade is way too dark. Not even a little bit too dark, but like so dark it's crazy. It is as glaring as this is, difference between here and here. It's even more so with the next neutral shade. They have some warms, they have some cools, and none of those really worked for me. I definitely needed a neutral shade, and this was the closest out of all of them. I decided not to go for their foundation because I didn't want anything heavy. I definitely feel like lighter weight stuff is kind of sitting nicer on my skin the older I get and the more expression lines I have going on. I have been using this for several weeks now. I definitely wanted not just to do a first impressions, but to come with like, here are my thoughts. So I have been enjoying that. The one thing that I picked up in December, or was it November? When this first launched, I picked it up on launch day. This is the Under Eye Brightener. And I mentioned in a favorites and fails why I'm struggling with this, and it's the applicator. It's the fact that there is a lot of product from the bottom of the applicator to like halfway down the wand and right on the tip, and not as much. Do you see how it doesn't really, I don't know, I don't feel like I'm getting, I have to do a little bit of this and then I have to spread it around, and I don't like the applicator. But I feel like with this Tinted Moisturizer, this Under Eye Brightener actually is, I have the lightest shade. I feel like it does a really good job. I wear it a lot on days when I'm wearing just like a tinted lip balm or no makeup at all, but I don't want my under eyes to be glaringly obvious. I'll layer this right on top of my sunscreen and it works really well. And it really does bring down the intensity of it, but it doesn't completely obliterate my dark circles. I wish they had a lighter weight concealer. Maybe that's what their under eye brightener was supposed to be, but I picked up their weightless concealer. I don't know that I would say it's weightless. I also have the shade 110N. This is the kind of the shade that correlates with this lighter shade. I feel like this color is also just a little bit too light. I can make it work. But this is what I have been using if I feel like I need like a little bit more coverage. Like I'm gonna put a little bit over this. I'm gonna hit the corners of my nose, and I have a little hyperpigmentation right on the tops of my cheeks here and right here. And this is what I've been using to build up a little bit more coverage without it getting to be too much or too intense. My favorite thing to do is just to grab a synthetic brush and just kind of lightly go over the top of everything. So I feel like this is a good match color-wise, the 110N in the concealer for the 10 in the Tinted Moisturizer. But again, you'll see it. I end up looking like Elizabeth I, like I'm wearing white lead paint. That was me. Part of it was, I think that there's another concealer that would be a better match for me, but I couldn't find it online. I looked at Kohl's, I looked at Sephora, I went in store at Sephora, I looked on Rare Beauty, like nobody had the next neutral shade. And I was like, 110 it is. And I probably should have made, you know, a better choice there. If you like medium coverage and then you find that the Tinted Moisturizer is not enough coverage for you, adding in a little dot of this and mixing it together might give you the coverage that you're looking for. Because what I really like doing is starting out with the Tinted Moisturizer and then just a little bit of this where I think I might need a little bit more kind of spot concealing specific areas of darkness or redness or under eye circles around my face. I feel like it makes a really good kind of boost to that tinted moisturizer because I don't want like a ton of coverage everywhere. That's not the sort of coverage that I prefer, but there was a couple of times that I felt like the tinted moisturizer was maybe just a hair too lightweight. Just a little bit more coverage would have been nice. Their loose setting powder, I was worried. I was like, why am I buying a loose setting powder that I'm gonna put underneath my eyes? You know what? I've actually been kind of impressed with this. So this comes in various shades. I, of course, got the lightest shade. It has a slightly pink lean to it, but I feel like this is a really great powder for setting my under eyes. I'm just gonna grab my rougher number 36. It kind of looks like a little finger. Pick up a little bit of this. And I always go through and tap out my under eye because I do end up with product settling in my creases and I don't wanna set those. So I do this. And this is all the powdering I'm going to do for a little bit. I want to make sure that my under eyes stay kind of uncrinkled. And then we're going to keep going with liquid and cream products for a while, so I won't set the rest of my face. I was worried that this powder was going to really negatively affect the under eye landscape. The one thing I like about it is I really feel like it sets, but it doesn't look heavy. It also doesn't make my under eyes look really dry. I'm taking like a really close up look at them. I am almost 50. You do see fine lines, but I don't feel like this powder exaggerates that. The other thing that I like is that I really do feel like it holds this concealer as well as others I've tried it with in place for at least 8 hours. I did pick up their cream bronzer. This is their Warm Wishes bronzer stick, and I have the lightest shade. This one is called Power Boost. It is really rather warm, but it does say it has a neutral undertone. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna sweep this on like right here. This is one of those, I like the formula that it doesn't instantly like start to set. I feel like I have some playtime and I really like that. There are some other ones where it's like one side at a time. And I like being able to, you know, put some down and then take time to blend it where I want it. I remember when this came out, it was out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. I've tried to pick it up a couple of times. They just didn't have my shade. It's been such a popular product. The one thing that really surprises me is that the way that these products perform, I expect the price point to be higher. I don't expect them to be as affordable. Now, I'm not saying that a full face of Rare Beauty is like cheap. It's not. It is a brand that sold at Sephora, but it's one of the more affordable brands at Sephora. you're not spending $50, you know, for like a Charlotte Tilbury cream bronzer, but I feel like I get just as good a results from this. And I love the ease of swiping it on with a stick. Even a beginner could get this to look good. And I think that the minute you're putting out products that anyone can use at any skill level, that's really great. It's a really creamy formula. It feels good on the skin, but it doesn't feel heavy, and it dries down kind of like to a powder finish, but it doesn't look drying on the skin. This is a really great product. I've tried the melting blush that comes in a little pink compact, and you know what? I never got that to work well for me. I felt like it was a little bit patchy, it was hard to apply, but I have been in love with their soft pinch liquid blushes. I have the shade Encourage, and this is, I'm not gonna touch it to my face because it's so much. I'm gonna put just a dot of it on the back of my hand. That might even be too much. And I'm gonna take a brush. Let's just use our little bronzing brush here. I am gonna take a minute to spread it out so that I don't end up with, if I were to touch it down, I would have like a whole dot right here. My goal, look at that. That's a lot of pigment. I am just going to lightly pick up a little bit so it's not too much on my brush. And I'm just gonna lightly tap this, yeah, maybe lightly tap this in. This is such a beautiful formula, but this is one of those where you kind of have to be careful. And I don't want to go in with this finger either because that's gonna be way too much. Wiping off the excess and then just kind of tapping things in. And the reason that I didn't want to set my whole face is I knew I was gonna go in with cream bronzer and liquid blush, and I don't always have success blending things like this over a set face. I know that there are makeup artists who have those skills. I am not a makeup artist. I am your friendly neighborhood makeup enthusiast, and I think that it's okay, but this makeup is meant for everyday people. And I feel like it's easy. You just have to know you're dealing with a ton of pigment. I want to get my brows done. I picked up one of their, they have a couple of different brow products, and I almost got the one in the compact. I was like, no, let's go for the one that has pencil on one end and brow gel on the other. So this is called their Brow Harmony. I have the shade Cool Brown. Here's what I've learned about this. This is a very soft pencil. So soft, so soft. So if I'm gonna do any of this in my brows, I have to I just got a line there just by barely kissing the surface of my skin. I'm like, a lot of the times I'm hardly putting anything down, just barely running into it. It also is kind of more of a triangle shape, and I prefer a smaller pencil. This can be a little large for the type of brows that I have and the sort of products I'm used to using, but I can make it work. But if I go in with any sort of force, I get way too much product. So the way I've been using this is just kind of lightly, very lightly kissing the surface with the pencil, brushing it through with a clean spoolie, and then going in with the tinted brow gel. Do you see that? I feel like the stopper on here could clean off a little bit more product. The other thing, because I don't have the most voluminous eyebrows, I find that if I don't take the time to kind of wipe off the excess, it's too much for my eyebrows. And I end up with like super goopy, like too much in my brows. And that's not what I'm going for. I want them to look pretty, but this is kind of like a thicker product. Not only did I scrape off a lot here, I even have some on the back of my hand. But I'm gonna take what's left on this and kind of sweep it through the brows. I feel like this is a really nice brow formula if so much didn't come out. I do love how small the brush is. I feel like that's nice. And I do feel like it has a fairly decent hold. It tends to feel more like a pomade and less like or really thick brow gel. That's what I would say. It feels more like a really thick brow gel where there's some real texture to it, and not ones that are a little lighter and a little thinner. I feel like I do also have the ability to build up texturally, because this is a thicker product on the hairs themselves, to give them a little bit more bulk by backcombing, and then it lays down nicely. But I have to be careful that I don't go over too many areas and pick up some of the brow pencil that I put down first. This is not my favorite brow product. I've been really wanting to get to know it, and I feel like I know it well enough now to go, when I finish it, I'm not getting another. I feel like I get better and quicker results because there's not as much product on the end of the spoolie and the pencil isn't so soft from products from the drugstore, like the e.l.f. Tiny Brow Pencil and their Wow Brow. I feel like I get better results there. I do like the cool brown tone. I feel like it does match my hair color nicely and it does fill in my brows, but it takes me almost 3 times as long to do my brows with this product because I have to be so careful. I am sad to say I did not love any of the eyeshadow palettes that Rare has. The color stories were not exciting to me, and I did not want to buy an eyeshadow palette that I knew I was only going to use once and then never again. I looked at their liquid eyeshadows and those also didn't kind of call to me, so I don't have any eyeshadow products from Rare. So I'm going to quickly take a minute to get a little bit of color on my eyes. I got my eye look on and I'm reaching for the Perfect Strokes eyeliner. This is a brush tip pen that gives you quite a bit of precision. The firmer you press, the thicker the line, but this is one of those that you can get really precise little strokes out of. So I'm going to use this for eyeliner today. So I just start by just the very tip of this, just going as close as possible to the lash line. I want a really thin line and then I will get it a little bit thicker towards the outside edge. I find that this doesn't do a lot of that kind of spidering or bleeding, which I like, but I am not a winged eyeliner aficionado. That's not my skill. I love that look, and the more I do it, the better I get, but it's not something I'm really good at. I'm also going to take a minute and kind of try and blank out the flesh tone gaps in between my lashes. I'm not tightlining with this. I'm just trying to, because I noticed that more of those gaps shine through. My skin is pretty fair once I get my mascara on. So if I can take a minute right now to kind of just hit in between the lashes with this, it's really helpful in a more pulled together finished look. This is supposed to be waterproof. I feel like I would say it's more water resistant. I have a perpetual leaky left eye and I kind of always hold my breath when I try a new liquid liner to see if like this little wing here is gonna last all day. I find that on days when my eye is not that leaky, it's fine. On days where I'm perpetually like doing this, I feel like when my eye is leaky and then I'm wiping it away, I think it's the friction and as well as the perpetually me wiping my eye that does wipe away, and I'll end up with like wing liner over here and my liner stops right here on the side. So I don't know that this is like waterproof, but if you don't have the problem that I do, I think you'd probably really like this. I feel like there's something that works better for me with a brush tip applicator than a felt tip. A felt tip sometimes can be too blunt, but there's a ease of use. Once I start using it regularly, I figure it out. This is actually, I think, a really good eyeliner. And if you don't have watery eyes and aren't perpetually wiping your eyes, I think you would be fine. I picked up their Universal Volumizing Mascara. This is their Perfect Strokes mascara. It's supposed to curl, lengthen, volumize, like all the things. I don't know that I would say that. It does have kind of like this fluffier wand. I'm grateful it doesn't have one of those silicone bristle wands that has like all those sharp little pokey points, because I always stab myself in the eye with those. I don't know how that is. We're just down to lips. I don't have everything that Rare makes in their lip line. I don't have a lip liner. I don't have a lip gloss, but I do have their matte lip souffles. I do have one of their Kind Word lipsticks as well as their dewy lip tint. So I thought we'd start with maybe the lightest one. That's the dewy lip tint. This is one of my new favorite formulas. I have the darkest shade. This one is called Compliment. This is such a pretty lip formula. I really like this, and I'm glad I got this deeper berry tone. I usually end up with a nude or a red, and I was like, no, let's go for something a little bit different. I have found this to be so useful during the winter months. First of all, it's comfortable. It slides, it glides, it feels nourishing, it does provide hydration, and it's not too much and just enough. It's a little bold right now, but let me give it a quick blot. This is how I love to wear it. And basically I'll put it on, it'll be on full force and it'll wear down to this. And this is when I appreciate it the most because I'm still getting the comfort and the nourishment that I get from this being a hydrating, dewy product. I find that this isn't so emollient that it kind of goes everywhere, even though it is a deeper shade. I'm not saying it stays perfectly within the lip line. I just find that on my 48-year-old lips, I'm not quite to the point where this instantly travels. And if I get a slightly blurred lip line with this, I still think it looks nice, but it's not like really messy and spidering out. It applies beautifully over the top of itself. I think this is a really nice formula. If you like those kind of sheer, glossy sorts of products, this lands more on the side of lipstick than lip gloss. There are some products that feel more like a lip gloss in a stick format, but this is definitely more like a sheer, comfortable, and slightly shiny lipstick. They're kind word matte lipsticks. I love the way these feel. This formula is so nice. I have the shade Worthy, and this is kind of a more nude tone shade. It's supposed to lean a little pink. I don't find it leans pink at all. This is what it looks like on. It's not a bad lipstick. It's just not my favorite shade of lipstick to wear. I feel like this is like the versions of those 90s nude lipsticks that I could never find my right shade in. That's what I feel like here. I feel like this needs just a little drop of something else to make it look like I have life to my face and it doesn't completely wash me out. So I'm glad I never picked up the accompanying lip liner because I think it would be the wrong, well, maybe not the wrong, but the tone that I'm not like in love with. So the way that I make this work so that I'm actually wearing it, because first of all, I'll tell you the formula, it's beautiful. If you're putting this on, and it glides, there's no tugging, there's no grabbing, it's not dry. But you see how this one has some shine to it? This one's matte straight from the bullet. I do like also that it, even though it looks matte, it doesn't feel matte going on, it doesn't feel tight, doesn't feel dry. It glides like a cream lipstick and then it stays comfortable on the lips. Like that's what's so great about this formula. I just wish they had more shades. I feel like 8 shades and then the bulk of them, I think like 5 or 6 of them are mostly nudes, either really deep nudes or kind of medium nudes. They have, I think, kind of like a brick red sort of shade. I feel like this would be selling like hotcakes if they had a few more shades. But I know that a lot of people love this sort of tone right now. It's just a little too brown for my liking and not the shade that I enjoy. So that's when I take a little bit of this. And I feel like just that little bit of berry that comes from this shade right here brings it to life, and all of a sudden I feel like I can wear this lipstick. And I haven't put so much glossy over the top that I've lost the matte appearance of this. I just wish there were more shades because this Kind Words lipstick is such an affordable, beautiful matte lipstick. It is so good formula wise. I just don't love any of the colors. The lip souffle is something that I've had the longest. This is something that I got in a duo pack during the holidays. I don't think it was I think it might have been 2020. I'd heard good things about him. But if you're wondering, this is like a moussey liquid lipstick that never dries down, is always comfortable, and has a slightly blurred look. I have a combo of both of the matte lip souffles on today. This one here is in Fearless. It's kind of like a brown leaning rosewood. There's a little bit of rose tone in there, but it is brown. And this one is kind of like a warmer orange leaning red. This one's called Inspire, but I put mostly this on and a little bit of the orangey one in the middle. And that's really how I like cocktailing these together. Sometimes I'll lean a little bit more red. Sometimes I go a little bit more brown. This is such a really great formula because it feels comfortable on the lips. My lips never end up feeling dry and flaky. I can wear these for hours. A lot of other liquid lipsticks, if you're thinking about the types that we had in the early 2010s, when people were first getting into them, like the KVD ones, or a lot of other brands that were kind of based on that sort of a formula, it dried down and it looked matte, but it sucked all the life out of your lips. It didn't go anywhere until your lips started to peel and the color would just peel right off. And it wasn't the color peeling off, it was that top layer of skin. And maybe you don't have that problem, but that's what my lips do. My lips are like reject. We're so dry, the skin is coming off and the color is with it. So I never liked liquid lipsticks, not the ones from Dose of Colors, not the ones from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Like there's a lot of ones out there that people really like. I just can't wear those because they really dry my lips out. This is such an interesting formula because if you look at it, they're matte, but they're moussey. They've been on my hand for a while now, but they still have the ability to kind of be blurred out. I mean, look at this. You can just kind of, Yep, just keep taking it down, blur the edge. So if you like a blurred lip look, you would really like this formula. I also like that they don't ever get uncomfortable or tight on my lips. They do transfer. They're not a transfer proof lipstick. It's not that sort of a matte liquid lipstick. But for me, the comfort that I get from this is worth the little bit of transfer. I'm used to lipsticks transferring. I've been wearing bullet lipsticks since the 80s. Nothing stayed put back then, and I don't mind that. But I feel like every single one of these formulas is beautiful. You just have to find the shade that's gonna work for you. I spent so much time talking about the lipstick, I forgot I hadn't tried on the highlight. This is a new highlight shade for me. This is the shade Enlighten. I have the one in Mesmerize that is kind of like this pink, but you can see this one here has not been touched yet. Dipping into it for the first time. I am excited to try this. Oh. Ooh. Shiny, maybe too much. Wow. I love these so much. They're so good. I was worried that this white one would be a little too like pearly and too white. So I picked up Mesmerize first, which is more of a kind of like a light pale pink shade, but this pearly white one in Enlighten, oh my goodness. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. All right, here's the pink one. Here's the white one. I mean, look at the way the light catches these. Aren't these just insane? Insane. Oh my goodness. This is the reason right here. When I tried Mesmerize in December, I was like, what? This is my new favorite powder highlight, and the fact that I'm putting powder over the top of cream and liquid products on my cheeks that are unset, like this is a beautiful, beautiful product. So much so I'm like, I want the other one. There are 2 more shades. There are 4 shades of this, but I feel like the other 2 would be too dark for my skin tone. But I feel like these 2 are absolutely stunning. Love, 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 love. I'm excited to have this one in Enlighten. Here's where I'll tell you, overall, I think Rare is one of those celebrity brands where it's done right. And I hate to speak poorly of other celebrities, but I feel like there are a lot of brands where it's, ooh, opportunity to make money. And it's not always good. Before I tried all of these products, I think my expectation was it's not going to be that good. And I think my mind has been changed. I feel like overall, these are really cosmetically elegant products. I think that there is a wide and diverse range of products as well as shades so that you can find the concealer that you're looking for. You can find the brow color that you need. There are a lot of different options when it comes to blush. I feel like it's not just made for a certain demographic. I feel like it's very inclusive. I also feel like it works really well for a lot of age ranges. I was worried that this was going to be makeup that was going to be better suited towards younger skin, and the fact that I'm almost 50, I feel like these are the sorts of things that I think anybody could wear. And I think that really bodes well for it. It's extremely inclusive. It's age inclusive. It's color inclusive. There's a lot of textural options if you want different types of brow products, if you want different types of eyeshadows. They've got lots of different things, and I think that's really good. I like how affordably they are priced for being a brand that's sold in Sephora, but I also feel like you're getting a little bit more bang for your buck because, like, this is incredible. Highlights, dude, these are so good. Love these. I feel like there's a lot of other things here that I would expect a lip product that is this type of formula to be a little bit more expensive. I feel like they're doing a really good job. And even the one thing that is kind of hard for me sometimes, like the powder can be hard. And I feel like this is going to work for a lot of people, even people who aren't, 20 or under. I feel like this looks really nice on my skin and holds my makeup in place all day. Overall, I'm really impressed with the brand. I feel like a lot of work has gone into it, and I am really excited to see what else Rare releases, and I will probably be a lot more excited, and I won't just think of it as a celebrity brand. Now this is like a legitimate makeup brand for me. I would love to know, maybe you instantly tried Rare when it first came out. What are your thoughts? What are your favorite products? Are there ones that just don't work for you? Let me know in the comment section down below if you have a recommendation. Also, what is it that I have yet to try from this brand that you're like, you know what you would really like? Let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Have an incredible day, and I will see you again soon.